Oh, this is so crazy. They changed everything. I don't know why I'm in a circle. Hello, sis. Hi, Ash. Happy New Year. It's the end of the year AA meeting. Not really going on any certain topic today other than ringing in the new year sober. Thank you, Lily. And I'm going to put in the chat the link to come up on panel if you'd like to. I don't know. Trying to figure this thing out. I don't like how that is. There we go. There I am. You can see me now. Anyways, if anybody wants to come up, that's the link to come on. But I have to see that you are who you say you are. Don't worry, nobody else will see you until you say it's okay to come up on panel. And if you're on the Facebook side, if you would like to go on panel with me, come over to the YouTube side. I don't know how to do that from Facebook yet, so everything's changed. I've been working on a project that a friend of mine sent me. It is a butterfly. Not very far on it yet, but I'm getting there. I also have a dog that thinks he needs to be on my lap all the time. He's eating. Dinner time. You're eating chips? I'm going to be eating pie after this AA meeting. I figured I'd be live for a couple hours. We'll see how it goes. You never know. Usually I'm only live for about an hour, but some people are late arrivers. I hope everybody's had a good year so far. Mine's been okay. Not great, not bad. So a lot of things happened this year, so. I'm going to say the Serenity Prayer here in a minute and go ahead and I've taken a nap every day this week. Hopefully I'm not getting sick. Oh, now he's sucking up over there to Dad now. That's okay. Let him bug him for a little bit. I see somebody's over there on the Facebook side. I don't know who it is, but hello over there. Okay. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, being I did not put anything in the description today. Maybe I'll just find some stuff in the book to talk about. I get my steps out of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. And the traditions I get out of here as well. So I think today I will read both of those 12, all 24 things. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all the defective characters. 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying for only for knowledge of His will and the power to carry that out. I don't know why I was tongue-tied and got lost on that one. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message into practice these principles in all our affairs. I skipped some of that one too. Anywho, the 12 traditions, and I have to read these ones because I don't know them yet. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as He may express Himself. In our group conscience, our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to alcoholics who still suffer. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, Anonymity is the spiritual foundations of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Hi, Tony. Happy New Year. I'm calling this the end of 2025 AA meeting. I figured I'd go for a couple hours, and the link is in the chat. If you want to come up, just follow what it says to you on your screen, and you can come up and be on panel with me if you want. If not, it's okay. But I am a recovering alcoholic, and not every year has been easy to stay sober. This has been a difficult year. We lost family members this year. We lost pets this year. First we lost Copper. He got sick, and we couldn't afford to take him to the vet for all of the issues going on, because whatever it was,
and his age,
he had big bald spots everywhere, and we took him to the vet once for it, and they put him on some meds, and it cleared it up. But to find out exactly what it was, we couldn't afford to do that. And so he got really, really bad. It moved into his eye, and that was tough for me because that was my call on time for him to go. And as you know, when it was time for Chubb, that one sent me into a panic attack that I don't remember anything that happened. And thank goodness I have been on the meds for panic attacks, because if I hadn't been, I probably wouldn't have been able to make that decision. And it was tough on me to not make that call on Chubb. But this time I decided it was time, because I couldn't keep being selfish and making him suffer through that. And I know he was suffering, and it wasn't right for me to be selfish like that. So it was time for him to go. And he was my companion for 13 years, always here by my side, no matter where I was. He protected me, kept me and my home safe, and so losing him was hard. But then we lost my cousin. My cousin on my side passed away, and I struggled with that one. And then a few months ago, as I've told you guys already, we had another cousin pass. This one was on my husband's side, and I didn't know him very well, but my husband grew up with him all the time. They were hanging out and running the streets of Portland together, and, running around in their diapers across Powell Boulevard, and just being rambunctious kids together. But he passed away, and he was an alcoholic, and we don't know if he was just passed out or what was going on, but a house fire happened and he did not make it out. So alcoholism runs on my side, my husband's side, my mom's side, my dad who took care of me, it's on his side, and my birth side, it's on their side, and it's just everywhere. And so I'm not a stranger, and was never a stranger to alcoholism. I've known that part of my life, my whole life. And so all the way up until I hit 30, I was able to despite becoming the full-blown alcoholic. And so when I became the alcoholic part of myself that I tried not to become, my sister did as well. And we are twins, identical twins. No, not everything we have done the same. But the alcoholism we both did at the same time. And so knowing that I needed to quit, I found AA from a friend saying, hey, meet me at this meeting. It's in my hometown. And I was like, okay, well, it won't, it's not going to hurt me to go. And so I went to the meeting and I kept going. That was not my plan. I was not planning on going and continue going. But as the years go by, I have to thank my home group for all the help that they gave me in the beginning and still give me today. My sponsor, who's been my sponsor for 11 years, I couldn't have done it without her guiding me through my steps and working my program every day and explaining to me the things that I didn't understand or didn't want to do and why I needed to do them. And believe me, there's steps that I did not want to do at all. I had no wants to even go into those, and I had to do it anyway. And I'm glad I did, because a lot of it had to do with things that I couldn't control to begin with, that I held on to for a long time. I still remember them. I'll never forget it. But I moved on a lot past those things. Childhood traumas and stuff that, I couldn't change how it happened or when it happened, because it wasn't me that made that happen. I covered you up with my painting over there on Facebook. But just knowing the things that I need to make amends for and understanding why I needed to make amends on my part. And I still, to this day, make my amends every day, no matter what it is. Like I can get pissed off at somebody and then within the next hour or so, maybe less time than that, I'm like apologizing for my part in that. Because that's what AA taught me to do. Because if I hold on to everything, it will overflow and it won't be good. So I make my amends really quick after things happen. I can get an argument with my dad and I'll leave, and then within the next half an hour or so, I'll be calling him saying I'm sorry for my part in that, and that's just what I've learned to do. And yeah, I have to admit what I did, and it's not always easy, especially when it's your family member that you had this issue with, and then you're like feeling like the ass because you did it. My sister and I, we get in our arguments, but we both know that we have to make our amends to each other. And anyways, so after I found AA, I started talking to my sister because I got sober 8 months before my sister did. But I started talking to my sister about it, and my sponsor, she's smart on the AA thing. And she's like, you can't harass her. And she kept referring me to read a certain part of the big book. And so I read it, and I think it's Freedom from Bondage, if I'm right. I might be wrong. But, so, anyways, when I got sober, I started AA, and then it says that we have to share the gift that we got for free. And so I started talking to my sister, and actually I didn't start talking, I started nagging. And my sponsor's like, you can't keep nagging her about it. And then right after my sponsor said that to me, I read that part in the book, and yeah, and so I stopped begging her. And finally, she decided that she would go ahead and come to a meeting. And so I was really excited that she was going to meet me at a meeting or just go with me. I don't remember if she went with me or if she came by herself. But either way, she came to a meeting, and I was so excited to have her there. And after that meeting, she went home and drank. And then the next day, she did not ever touch or drink again. And she kept coming to AA, and that really made me happy to, oh, you picked me up. Okay. But it made me happy because I knew that if I could get this and grasp it and understand it and know what I need to do, that she would be able to do it as well. And so she started coming to AA. And then, I'm not the only recovering alcoholic out there. And I had another family member that needed the help. And so I got him sober. Or I helped him get sober. I didn't get him sober. He got sober himself. And I don't know if he's still sober now, because obviously I can't make sure everybody stays sober. But then I got a cousin to join me in the AA, and she is not a God person, so she always thought that she had to be in order to get AA and stuff, and I was like, no, it's God as you want to see that person or thing. And so I got her to start AA, and she went into treatment, and she's still sober to this day. She started over, but that was her choice to start completely over. So whatever her date is, I'm very proud of her that she is still sober to this day. And from going to AA, it taught me that I also need to not hide from who I am. I'm a recovering alcoholic for the rest of my life. And the only way I'm not a recovering alcoholic is if I go out there and I take that first drink. And I already did that once, but that was before I found AA to help me stay sober. But I knew I could stay sober for a year because I had already done it without AA. And now I have 11. Not every year has been easy. I mean, the first year of doing AA. I was like, if I make it a year. And then after I made it a year, having everybody in those rooms tell me that you'll make it. I made it to that year. My sponsor signed me up for my first ever speaker meeting. I hadn't really found my voice yet. So when she informed me, like I think maybe a week before, she's like, by the way, we're doing speaker meeting. She was the 15-minute and I was the 10-minute. I don't know what I'm going to talk about for 10 minutes. But anyways, but I did it. I stood up there in front of the whole room of people and I told part of my story. And I found my voice in that meeting and I have not stopped sharing my story of being an alcoholic and finding AA. Because if I hadn't found AA, I probably wouldn't be sitting here sober. I'd probably be out there right now getting drunk for the new year and not doing a meeting right here for a couple hours talking about random stuff. But I'm sober. I'm glad to be sober. I'm not out there in that bar getting drunk, maybe causing an accident. I'm not going to be a reason why somebody doesn't make it home today or tomorrow. Because no matter where you're at, there is an alcoholic who's going to drive. There is that alcoholic who doesn't realize that there is help. But like I always say, some of us get it and some of us don't. And it's sad because there is so much help out there. And a lot of them don't know where to look or who to ask or what to say. Just like me when I started. I didn't know what to say. I didn't have anything to say when I first started AA. I was zip nothing. You couldn't even get me to say hi. My name is Sandra. My husband had to do that for me. And now I tell anybody and everybody that I'm Sandra and I'm a recovering alcoholic. At my jobs, I've said it. I've told somebody a couple weeks ago that I'm a recovering alcoholic. And, you never know when you're going to find somebody that is in recovery. And when you do find those people, they kind of stick with you. Like one of my best friends, who is basically like a sister now, I told her that I was a recovering alcoholic when I first met her. And she just said, me too. And that we had a lot more than just being recovering alcoholics in common. We're both moms of boys and had struggles along our way of parenthood and, things that we just connected on, that we have in common, that we can talk to each other about, and it just works. And I don't talk to her every day. I talk to her every few days because she's working and I work, and we're always busy these days. And but definitely if you're struggling with alcoholism or addiction, there's help everywhere, even here online. And there's people there that'll help you. Even if you're just telling a stranger, they might know what to were to tell you to go for that help that you are seeking. I know when I first started AA, I went down to town and because I left the meeting early, being embarrassed and shy and all that isn't always a great thing, but I hadn't found my voice yet, and so I went down to City Hall and I sat there and I had my big book that my sponsor gave me, and a guy come walking up to me and he has a brown paper bag, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I know what it is. I was taking a drink off of it and I was like, I wonder. And he just sat down and I was sitting there just minding my own business, and he goes and he says, hey, huh? I was like, this guy's already been there. Because he already brought it out, and that started the conversation of, yeah, I'm working on step 4. And he goes, step 11's the hardest. I was like, nah, it can't be. And to all of us, there is at least one step that is the hardest, and 4 was the hardest for me. It's not anymore. I mean, like I said, I instantly tell make my amends. Oh, that's right. I was hosting at Lazy Ben. That's right. I remember now. But being the recovering alcoholic has taught me that I can help others. It might seem like I'm not, but I know I am in one way or another by telling people about AA and letting people know that they're not alone, but there are a lot of us dealing with the same battle and struggling with the same things. And trying to live a sober life, it's not always a walk in the park. There's hard days, there are good days. And you guys were, yeah, but since I got sober, I have, well, not I, but my husband made a rule of no alcohol in our home, whether it's in our fifth wheel, a tent, or in our house. This one, we've never had any alcohol here. We did have liquor bottles, though, because I used to collect them. What a great collection, right? But I used to collect them. And when we moved in here, I found them. And that was one of the first things I did was I threw those away. Or I recycled them because they were all glass. But I recycled them all. And that was something I had to part with on my own. But it needed to be done because I don't need to have that as a temptation of screaming at me saying, here, go buy me, And that was one of the first things I did when we moved in here, because I knew I had them. I just didn't know when I would come across them. And it was right after we moved in, and I had to part ways with those old part of me that I don't miss at all, that I don't ever want to go back to being, because I was not nice. I was nice to myself, I think. except for when it bashed my eyeball. But, I wasn't a nice person then. I was selfish, only cared about getting the alcohol, didn't care about my family, didn't care about my friends. Good old alcohol was my best friend. And not no more. And I definitely do not miss it. I'm going to look in here. Maybe I'll pick up where I left off last time. So I'm going to read on page 224 in the big book. I'm going to start off at after. After the oil job blew up, I went back to Baltimore. I should have my glasses on. And Mother, my first wife, having said a permanent goodbye. Then came a sales job with a national tire company. I recognized their city sale policy, and 18 months later, when I was 30, they offered me the branch managership. As part of this promotion, they sent me to their national convention in Atlantic City to tell the big wheels how I'd done it. At this time, I was holding what drinking I did down to weekends, but I hadn't had a drink at all in a month. I checked into my hotel room and then noticed a placard tucked under the glass on the bureau stating there will be positively no drinking at this convention, signed by the president of the company. That did it. Who? Me? The big shot? The only salesman invited to talk at the convention? The man who was going to take over one of their largest branches come Monday? I'd show him who was boss. No one in that company saw me again. 10 days later, I wired my resignation. As long as things were tough and the job a challenge, I could always manage to hold on pretty well. But as soon as I learned the combination, got the puzzle under control, and the boss to pat me on the back, I was gone again. Routine jobs bored me, but I would take on the toughest one I could find and work day and night until I had it under control. Then it would become tedious and I'd lose all interest in it. I could never be bothered with the follow through and would invariably reward myself for my effort with the first drink. Move, dingy dog.
Ready?
After the tire job came the 30s, the depression, and the downhill road. In the 8 years before AA found me, I had over 40 jobs, selling and traveling, one thing after another, in the same old routine. I'd work like mad for 3 or 4 weeks without a single drink, save my money, pay a few bills, and then reward myself with alcohol. Then I'd be broke again, hiding out in cheap hotels all over the country, having one-night jail stands here and there. And always that horrible feeling. What's the use? Nothing is worthwhile. Every time I black out, and that was every time I drank, there was always that gnawing fear. What did I do this time? Once I found out, many alcoholics have learned they can bring their bottle to a cheap movie theater and drink, sleep, wake up, and drink again in the darkness. I had repaired to one of these one morning with my jug, and when I left late in the afternoon, I picked up a newspaper on the way home. Imagine my surprise when I read in a page one box that I had been taken from the theater unconscious around noon that day, removed by ambulance to a hospital and stomach pumped and then released. Evidently, I had gone right back to the movie with a bottle, stayed there several hours, and started home with no recollection of what had happened. The mental state of the sick alcoholic is beyond description. I had no resentment against individuals. The whole world was all wrong. My thoughts went round and round with what is what's it all about anyhow? People have wars and kill each other. They struggle and cut each other's throats for success. And what does anyone get out of it? Haven't I been successful? Haven't I accomplished extraordinary things in business? What do I get out of it? Everything's all wrong, and the hell with it. For the last 2 years of my drinking, I prayed during every drunk that I wouldn't wake up again. 3 months before I met Jackie, I had made my second feeble try at offing yourself. This was the background that made me willing to listen on January 8th. After being dry 2 weeks and sticking close to Jackie, all of a sudden I found I had become the sponsor of my sponsor for he was suddenly taken drunk. I was startled to learn he had only been off the booze a month or so himself when he brought me the message. However, I made an SOS call to the New York group, whom I hadn't met yet, and they suggested we both come there. This we did the next day, and what a trip. I really had a chance to see myself from a non-drinker point of view. We checked into the home of Hank, the man who had fired me 11 years before in Mississippi, and there I met Bill, our founder. Bill had then been dry 3 years, and Hank too. At the time, I thought them just a swell pair of screwballs, for they were not only going to save all the drunks in the world, but also all the so-called normal people. All they talked of that first weekend was God and how they were going to straighten out Jackie's and my life. In those days, we really took each other's inventories firmly and often. Despite all this, I did like these new friends because, again, they were like me. They had also been periodic big shots who had goofed out repeatedly at the wrong time, and they also knew how to split one paper match into 3 separate matches. This is very useful knowledge in places where matches are prohibited. They too had taken a train to one town and had wakened hundreds of miles in the opposite direction, never knowing how they got there. The same old routine seemed to be common to us all. During that first weekend, I decided to stay in New York and take all they gave out with except the God stuff. I knew they needed to straighten out their thinking and habits, but I was all right. I just drank too much. Just give me a good brunt and a couple of bucks, and I'd be right back in the big time. I'd been dry 3 weeks, had the wrinkles out, and had sobered up my sponsor all by myself. Bill and Hank had just taken over a small automobile polish company, and they offered me a job, $10 a week, and keep at Hank's house. We were all set to put DuPont out of business. At that time, the group in New York was composed of about 12 men who were working on the principles of every drunk for himself. We had no real formula and no name. We would follow one man's idea for a while, decide he was wrong, and switch to another's method. But we were staying sober as long as we kept on and talked together. There was one meeting a week at Bill's home in Brooklyn, and we all took turns there spouting off about how we had changed our lives overnight, how many drunks we had saved and straightened out, and last but not least, how God had touched each of us personally on the shoulder. Boy, what a circle of confused idealists. Yet we all had one really sincere purpose in our hearts, and that was not to drink. At our weekly meeting, I was a menace to serenity those first few months, for I took every opportunity to lambaste that spiritual angle, as we call it, or anything else that had any tinge of theology. Much later, I discovered the elders held many prayer meetings, hoping to find a way to give me the heave-ho, but at the same time still tolerant and spiritual. They did not seem to be getting an answer for here I was staying sober and selling lots of auto polish on which they were making 1,000% profit. So I rocked along my merry independent way until June, when I went out selling auto polish in New England. After a very good week, 2 of my customers took me to lunch on Saturday. We ordered sandwiches, and one man said, 3 beers. I let mine sit. After a bit, the other man said, 3 beers. I let that sit too. Then it was my turn. I ordered 3 beers, but this time it was different. I had a cash investment of 30 cents, and on a $10 a week salary, That's a big thing. So I drank all 3 beers, one after the other, and said, I'll be seeing you boys, and went around the corner for a bottle. I never saw either of them again. I'd completely forgotten the January 8th when I found the fellowship, and I spent the next 4 days wandering around New England half drunk, by which I mean I couldn't get drunk and couldn't get sober. I tried to contact the boys in New York, but telegrams bounced right back. And when I finally got Hank on the telephone, he fired me right then. This was when I really took my first good look at myself. My loneliness was worse than it had ever been before, for now even my own kind had turned against me. This time it really hurt, more than any hangover ever had. My brilliant agnosticism vanished, and I saw for the first time that those who really believed or at least honestly tried to find a power greater than themselves were much more composed and contented than I had ever been, and they seemed to have a degree of happiness I had never known. Peddling off my polished samples for expenses, I crawled back to New York a few days later in a very chastened frame of mind. When the others saw my altered attitude, they took me back in. But for me, they had to make it tough. If they hadn't, I don't think I ever would have stuck it out. Once again, there was the challenge of a tough job, but this time I was determined to follow through. For a long time, the only higher power I could concede was the power of the group, but this was far more than I had ever recognized before, and it was at least a beginning. It was also an ending, for ever since June 16th, 1938, have I had to walk alone. Around this time, our big AA book was being written, and it all became much simpler. We had a definite formula that some 60 of us agreed was the middle course of all alcoholics who wanted sobriety, and that formula has not been changed one iota down through the years. I don't think the boys were completely convinced of my personality change, for they fought shy of including my story in the book. So my only contribution to their literary efforts was my firm conviction, since I was still a theologian rebel, that conviction, since I already read that part, that the word God should be qualified with the phrase as you understand him, for that was the only way I could accept spirituality. After the book appeared, we all became very busy in our effort to save all the sundry, but I was still actually on the fringe of AA while I went along with all that was done and attended the meetings. I never took an active job of leadership until February 1940. Then I got a very good position in Philadelphia and quickly found I would need a few fellow alcoholics around me if I was to stay sober. Thus, I found myself in the middle of a brand new group when I started to tell the boys how we did it in New York and all about the spiritual part of the program. I found they would not believe me unless I was practicing the spiritual or personality change. I was getting a little more serenity in telling newcomers how to change their lives and attitudes. All of a sudden, I found I was doing a little changing myself. I had been too self-sufficient to write a moral inventory, but I discovered in pointing out to the new man his wrongs, attitudes, and actions that I was really taking my own inventory, and that if I expected him to change, I would have to work on myself too. This change has been a long, slow process for me, but through these latter years, the dividends have been tremendous. In June 1945, with another member, I made my first and only 12-step call on a female alcoholic, and a year later I married her. She has been sober all the way through, and for me, that has been good. We can share in the laughter and the tears of our tears of our many friends, and most important, we can share our AA way of life and are given a daily opportunity to help others. In conclusion, I can only say that whatever growth or understanding has come to me, I have no wish to graduate. Very rarely do I miss the meetings of my neighborhood AA group, and my average has never been less than 2 meetings a week. I've served on only one committee in the past 9 years, for I feel I feel that I had my chance the first few years and that newer members should fill the jobs. They are far more alert and progressive than we floundering fathers were, and the future of our fellowship is in their hands. We now live in the West and are very fortunate in our area AA. It is good, simple, and friendly, and our one desire is to stay in AA and not on it. Our pet slogan is "Easy Does It," and I still say that as long as I remember that January 8th in Washington, that is how long, by the grace of God, as I understand him, I will retain a happy sobriety. I have somebody bugging me right now. He wants to say hi. Come on. Say hi. Say hi, everybody. I'm right here. I'm being annoying. He's a good boy. But, so, like I said, not everybody likes the God card, okay? Not everybody likes that. And that's okay, because you don't have to believe in God. You don't have to pray to God. You don't have to. It's somebody as you understand them. And what I tell my sponsees is it can be a person, a place, a thing, an object, a pet, anything. As long as it's something. And for a long time, that's what I did. I believe that there's something greater than myself, obviously. But I've never really been spiritual, but I believe that there's, something there. And I am baptized. But I didn't have that aha moment until I think it was this story. And I realized that there is something there that keeps you going on your sobriety journey. And mine is myself is number one. I put my sobriety first before anything else. Because like I tell everybody is, if I don't put my sobriety first, if you don't put your sobriety first, there's nothing you can do for anybody else because you can't do for yourself. And sometimes that's tough for people to understand, and especially us alcoholics and, the addicts. We don't understand that if we're not taking care of ourselves, that we can't help others and we can't be there for others and expect other people to be there for us when we're the ones, having that addiction. And thank you for the kisses. Thank you for the kisses. Yeah, thank you. I love you too. Yeah. But we have to remember that you can't take care of something if you can't take care of you first. And so I always put my sobriety number one. And then, and only then, can I do anything else. And I've learned how to do my steps daily on the fly, and I don't even realize I'm doing them. But that's because that's what we're told we need to do, is always be working our steps. No matter what we are doing in a day, use your steps to help you get there. And there's times I'll be ticked off at work and I'll be mad at the machines and stuff. I'll be like, God, why? Can't I just leave? And then I'm like, you're the one making it difficult on yourself. Getting upset at a machine is not going to do you any good. Just calm down, take a breath, and go back to it. And I have to do that quite often because I get really irritated at those things. But that's just something that we have to always be mindful of, is working those steps every day in no matter what we're doing. Patience. That's another one. Patience is in that book. Tolerance is in that book. Takes a lot of tolerance. We got to have patience and tolerance. Yep. Lots of patience and lots of tolerance. Yes, we do. Yeah. Yeah. What? What are you doing? I love you too. Yes, I do. So this is Ryder. He's 3. Boston Terrier. with an attitude. Huh? Like mom's gonna hold me all the time. Yes. Yep. He does get in trouble. Even though he's cute, he does get in trouble. He peed my Afghan today. He doesn't like getting in trouble. Huh? You don't like getting in trouble, do you? Nope. Mama just says, you peed my blanket. Huh? Partially my fault, probably. Huh? Oh, you gonna give me more kisses? He snores. He snorts like a piggy. That's my arm. Is it tasty? I took a shower. I didn't even eat dinner yet. But I'm gonna have me a piece of pie too. Ugh. Anyways, I've been live for an hour. Here's something I highlighted. AA is not a plan for recovery that can be finished and done with. It is a way of life, and the challenge continues in its principles is great enough to keep any human being striving for as long as he lives. We cannot outgrow this plan. As arrested alcoholics, we must have a program for living that allows for limitless expansion. Keeping one foot in front of the other is essential for maintaining our arrestment. Others may idle in a retrogressive groove without too much danger. But retrogression can spell death for us. However, this isn't as rough as it sounds, as we do become grateful for the necessity that makes us toe the line, and we find that we are compensated for a constant effort by the countless dividends we receive. But anyways, guys, I thought I was going to be able to stay live for 2 hours, but I ain't going to do it. I got to get something to eat. Anyways, let's say the Serenity Prayer. And I'll let you guys have the rest of your 2025. I'm going to try to be up at midnight. Try? Anyway. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.